What's up, YouTube? You might notice that the background for our deck intro is looking a little different today, and that is because I am now also a writer. That's right, I am now also writing some articles about some of the decks that I post on this YouTube channel for RuneterraCCG.com. The written guides will go a bit more in-depth on strategic advice, on mulligan tips and tech choices and so on than I can cover in this intro. So if you really want to go in-depth about learning a deck, I would recommend you to check them out. Also, if you ever forget something and need to refresh your memory on some type of strategy or mulligans, this will be a great way of doing so. I'll leave a link to this guide in the comments as well as in the video's description. But without further ado, let's take a look at the deck that we're actually going to check out today, and that is Renekton, Sivir, Overwhelms, Freljord and Shurima. Now, some type of Freljord Shurima Overwhelms have been around for a long time, basically since the release of Shurima. The synergies are pretty obvious right away because we have a bunch of Overwhelm units and then we pair them with the vulnerable keyword, which means our Overwhelms can pull low HP blockers and push a lot of Nexus damage and end games quickly. Now, the reason why it's always been falling in and out of the meta was because it's very susceptible to certain types of removal. But right now is a great time for this deck to shine again because there are barely any hushes around, there are barely any freezes and not too many mini-morphs or vengeances or that type of hard removal that can really stop a big unit from hitting. And that is the reason why fellow ladder grinder Rico Rex actually managed to take the rank 1 in Europe about a week ago with exactly this deck list, and this is what I'm going to show to you guys today. So in its core, we're playing a board-centric aggressive deck that tries to build a board lead in the early game, snowball it, and finish with some big hits through these Overwhelm units. Maybe with the support of Battle Fury, maybe sometimes the regular hits are going to be enough, because we can, like I already mentioned, pull those low HP blockers towards the big hitters. So everything in this list fulfills one of three purposes. It either protects our units, it gives something vulnerable, or it is there to push damage. And with that in mind, let's take a look at all of the units we play first. And you can see right away we play a very well-rounded mana curve. 6 1-drops in total. Omen Hawk is mainly there to have an early play, but also basically to protect your units, because the +1 health is going to be very important on a lot of your key units. And of course, the +1 damage also means more Nexus damage if it hits your Overwhelm units. Treasure Seeker, just one of the best 1-drops in game, and it can also help you smoothen out your mana curve. In case you don't draw the perfect opening hand, you can always combine Waking Sands and get value out of it if you pair it with a vulnerable from Rockhopper or Merciless Hunter a bit later on. So Rockhopper, just a well-statted unit that also grants an enemy vulnerable. Ruthless Raider, both a good defensive and offensive unit. The tough keyword can be very good, especially if you pair it with something like Troll Chant, but it can also sometimes be a pretty good Battle Fury target, for example. Merciless Hunter is back to find another gift for Renekton in this list for real. The curve for Merciless Hunter is usually perfect because we drop her on turn 3, and that means ideally on turn 4 we attack with either of our two champions, Renekton or Sivir, and they both benefit greatly from the vulnerable keyword. Renekton of course gets a bit sturdier and pushes some damage, while Sivir just takes out a unit for free because she's protected by quick attack and her spell shield. Also keep in mind that the fearsome keyword can often be super valuable in the current meta, because there are a lot of small blockers running around, a lot of bandit city decks for example, everything has 1 or 2 attack. That means fearsome will often go through to the enemy's nexus as well. And then for top end units we just have a bunch of heavy hitters. Ruin Runner with a lot of attack as well as being protected by the spell shield. Wildclaw, a lot of attack, being protected by the high HP pool. And Ancient Yeti is something that we usually do want to play for 1, 2 or 3 mana, so usually it does fit the curve rather in the 3-drop, 4-drop slot or so. But again, a high attack unit, a sturdy unit, and it makes for some very explosive development turns in the mid game or late game. And as a spicy top-end finisher as well as a value tool, we play Thrumming Swarms. Now, these lists used to play cards like Preservarian back in the day to not run out of steam, but now that we play Sivir in this deck and now that Renekton got buffed and we can consistently level one of these two champions, Thrumming Swarm is also, well, not the sturdiest unit, but a very high attack hitter and often duplicates itself. Make sure we don't run out of steam in the late game. So definitely a worthy addition. I would recommend trying this out, playing around with it and see if you like it. And now for spells, it's the same idea. Everything is there to either protect our units, to grant something vulnerable, or to push a lot of damage. And for example, Exhaust does two of those things. It gives something vulnerable and it protects our unit by reducing our opponent's attack. That's especially good if you pair it with something like Renekton, who needs to survive one hit so he can level on the second hit. Now we play a couple more combat tricks and it's kind of tough to find the perfect ratios for them. I will go more in depth in the tech options part of this article. Currently, Ricorex was on one shaped stone. We also don't have that many landmark triggers anymore, only the 3 rock hoppers to activate them. And 1-3 sisters, which will often be used to either protect your unit with Fury of the North or to push a lot of damage through Entomb. And that is if we attack and we Entomb the blocker in front of our Overwhelm unit, the hit just goes through directly to the Nexus. And as one of the best protective combat tricks in the game, we play 3 Troll Chants, also a great meta call against stuff like Zed Poppy, because it's really good against the quick attack keyword. And last of all, we play an old school finisher in Battle Fury. Of course, very expensive finisher, but very, very effective in this deck because many of our units will have either spell shields or be protected by a very high HP pool, and therefore the Battle Fury is very often likely to get through. Very often either a Sivir is level, shares her spell shield, and our opponent can't interact with our attackers, or they just cannot handle the 8 to 10 health units, like something like an Alpha Wildclaw with Battle Fury that is swinging at them. And another great advantage of this card in this deck is that we can open attack and invest our whole turn, invest all of our mana into that open attack to make it as strong as possible. And that's it for this little deck intro, and I will show you guys some gameplay examples in a second, but don't forget that there's more in-depth knowledge in this article right here. I go a bit more in depth on some strategic advice, some tips and tricks. We take a look at mulligan options as well as tech choices depending on what decks you face a lot. So again, I leave the link to this article in the comments as well as the description. And if you feel like it, there's also a lot more to explore on runeterraccg.com. They have been putting out high quality articles for a long time. You'll find more deck guides or deck inspirations, strategic guides, general gameplay guides, as well as meta tier lists and matchup tables and so on and so on. So big recommend. I've been a fan of them for a long time. But without further ado, let's hop into some gameplay.
Is it the mustache? Who knows?
Still gotta giggle at this name every time. The one and only. The real one. Kinda wanna keep both champs, but I feel like Sivir is just much better. I wish I had the Aria mode. Okay, I really need to draw a play for the next turn. Hey, let's go.
Let us take a peek at life beneath the waves.
Sun's beneath me and winds behind.
This is gonna make my opponent's next turn much more awkward as well. Oh, rip. Didn't someone just say, why doesn't Thrumming Swarm have 5 HP? There you go. Like, even if I click end round, Poppy next round is really good, right? That's my issue right now. If I play Ruin Runner 15, 24... I think I have to take the swing. Concerted Strike isn't enough to kill Renekton. Oh, once Poppy swings it actually is. Aye, this is not good. Probably no Battle Fury next round.
Stand in trouble far as the eye can see.
The joys of home.
This is much better. Five, 15, 30. This is gonna be a very tough one. I want to full swing now to level Sivir. Technically my opponent gets a good block. Like, I'm bluffing Shaped Stone, my opponent also might easily have Sharp Side though. I probably got a Suicide Renekton here. Good thing is if I put Sivir to the right, if Lux blocks, I still get the level up because of Quick Attack. Concerted is a very likely card.
That's why you always carry another pair of goggles.
Can I bluff something through positioning? This would bluff double Shaped Stone, but I need the Lux to flip, right? I need the Sivir to flip.
This is my choice.
Wish I had the Shaped Stone in hand.
Time is money.
Very risky block here.
Persistence is key.
I'm a woman of principle. Mine is kill and get paid.
Okay, he's sending it.
Wouldn't be a quest without some danger.
I need this to remove a unit. If I play a blocker, my opponent full swings, I get hit for 8 and Poison Dart's lethal. Or Entomb. If my opponent has another unit, I'm dead. If it's a 3-mana spell, I'm also dead because of Lux.
Told you to stay back.
3 Frostbite Poppy. That actually would have been smart. I forgot about it. I probably still lose if I don't remove a unit though, because we get hit for 6. My opponent probably still gets the laser this round. Shellfolk. This is technically weak to Pokestick, but good for Curve. These are both keeps. if Thrumming Swarm was 5 HP. Yeah, I get the sentiment, but I feel like it might have been too strong in that case.
Would you look at this place?
Not bad. Sivir on 4 into Merciless Yeti on 5. Wait, no, Yeti is gonna be at 3 mana on 5. Okay, there it is.
My board!
How's the Thrumming? So far I haven't gotten to play it in action yet. Nice. Another gift for Renekton. I mean, I think I still develop Sivir just mana management wise, considering I have a second one in hand. My opponent has a copied spell, which will... Oh, okay. It also works. Most of the time that's going to be removal, trying to ping the Sivir spell shield.
Another clue.
Like this deck because of the cute Ari card back. I feel you. I feel you. Yeti now, Wildclaw next turn. So I could, for example, Yeti exhaust this turn, Wildclaw next turn, I still have 10 mana for Battle Fury. What if my opponent passes? They'll for sure want to play Vi. Alright. So we just hope our opponent doesn't hit Battle Fury again. Might be a bit of a waste of an exhaust, but I also kind of like keeping this healthy. Okay, we're not playing the Battle Fury.
Who needs a map? Idiot foreigners in over their heads? Why do you ask?
What up, Nick? Ooh, baby. Well, too bad you wasted all of your pranks. I almost feel sorry for you. So we need 17 damage to flip. 17 on the board. What a gamer. Okay, so my opponent's holding a 7 mana Battle Fury of their own. What would be smart here? Shellfork blocking this. Okay. Seems very optimistic. Ezreal is so far from leveling. Why did he pre-commit? He apparently didn't plan to block with neither Shellfork nor Ezreal. So I could have just let the attack go through. So Ezreal can hit me for 9 with a stolen Battle Fury. Okay, now it gets scary. Now Ezreal could one-shot me. Oh no, not enough mana, never mind. I mean, Fearsome is basically an overwhelm right now. I don't want my opponent to get Merciless.
We love it when they run.
Damn. Two mana Merciless means no Battle Fury though.
Vi stands for violence.
Okay. This has to take out Sivir, right? And I just replay her. Yeti gets Spell Shield. Then defensive Battle Fury on Shellfolk. My opponent's still dead. My opponent should probably ping the Sivir Spell Shield right now.
Arda's gonna make a meal of them.
Oh, or this just takes out the Yeti. That's probably the play.
I don't need a plan. Trouble coming at ya.
Sounds dangerous. I'm in. Get back here.
It makes sense, like keeping the fearsome blocker here. Because the other one was vulnerable, I could have pulled it aside. My opponent might not have an answer to this Merciless Hunter.
What's behind this door, you think? Deadly traps, angry guardians, bunch of gold.
Opponent still has the Battle Fury, yes. I should have played this first, since my opponent knows this card anyway. 3 Battle Furies? No. This got pranked twice before my opponent had Shellfolk on the board.
What wondrous discoveries await below.
Gonna find a gift for Renekton.
Right, Arda. So right now I most likely have Letha. Okay, this should definitely be Letha. So this already represents Letha, and we have the 2 Fearsomes going through. My opponent can only block one of them with a Battle Fury. Purpleberry Shake plus Battle Fury is still Letha. Yeah, would have to be a pretty insane hand to fend this one off.
Easy does it.
Time is money.
Why doesn't it show the cards in the enemy hand? That's a very good question. I think it would be a nice feature to have Shellfolk pranked cards show up in the hand. GG.
The real treasure is friendship. That's the gold.
What a motivation and inspiration Sivir is. Oh, that's the concurrent timeline stack. I played against that earlier on. Oh, this should be a fun one. I think Rockhopper is very good in that case. Because our opponent probably plays Make It Rains. That looks like a better curve. No timelines on one, we're off to a good start. Ooh.
There's another one. This land is ours.
Would you look at this place?
Play this first to potentially... Yep, exactly. Oh, perfect. We're overwhelmed. Survives this hit. This dude's running an aimbot.
Oh dear.
Leave nothing standing.
probably a former Counter-Strike expert or something.
What's the water like down there, guys?
Anyway, we got the nasty curve coming up.
Carnage follows.
Rockhopper should make my opponent's development very awkward. The hell did you just play? That's a very low value Waking Sands.
Why are you here?
Like, I don't have to take the swing with a Ruthless Raider. But the swing only ever gets better if I find a troll chance.
All hands on deck.
Seeing
Okay.
towns and
With the Ruin Runner with a spell shield, we should have this on the open attack though.
Who's falling for blood?
I can't really think of anything my opponent can have that stops it. Bit late. Teeny tiny tad late for the timelines. I mean, I can just pre-commit. Doesn't really make a difference. It was a good example though of like how this deck can pop off. I mean, of course my opponent didn't find their timelines when they most needed it, but they did have a pretty decent curve to stop my aggression. Like, you still get these windows, like Spell Shielded Battle Fury open attacks or something, that are just devastating.